Fans and friends, welcome to this special edition of the Conspiracy Corner tonight. We thought it was imperative to get something out on the Jeffrey Epstein suicide or murder. We don't know. There's a lot of conflicting stories out there, and as always, I got Nikki B with me. Nick, how you doing tonight, bud? I'm sorry I had to bring you on, but I thought this is something that we needed to get out to the public, and while it's fresh on the minds of everyone.
Well, absolutely, and I'm glad to be doing the show again. Actually, this topic, this guy's a freak, man, and I'm sure we're not even near the bottom of the shit stack. Excuse my language, but yeah, you're right. This needs to be talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as you can see on the intro to the video, I was actually doing a little play on Fantasy Island. Lord forgive me, I wasn't trying to be funny, but that is actually Pedo Island, and that was its nickname. This man would actually take guests, foreign diplomats, actors, entertainers, government officials out to this island for weeks or weekend rumpuses with underage teens, man, with underage women. And that within itself should have landed him and everyone that ever stepped foot on that island in front of a firing squad or had them castrated. I think it's a shame.
Or
both. Or both, yeah, at the same time. I think it's a shame that he's not going to have to stand trial. I think that that's an injustice to all the women who actually came forward on his first conviction down in Florida. Over 60 women that testified or came out with stories that supposedly were employed or worked for Jeffrey Epstein at one point, or as you were talking about earlier, abused, raped, used. It's just horrible, man. It's disgusting, and people need to be aware. We need to wave our fist that we're not going to stand for this.
It's I agree with you completely, and it is horrible that I mean, here's a guy for years has been known as a pimp,
basically,
as a pedophile,
mm-hmm.
as a criminal, and has been allowed to walk the streets all the way back to his first arrest. I mean, this is just disgusting, man. This is disgusting. And when I found out, like, they busted him, I was like, part of me was like, finally, you know what I mean? And then the other part of me was like, holy crap, and that's when I did a little bit of investigating to find out more about the first case. Mm-hmm. And the guy was completely a predator, man.
Absolutely.
Like, his victims, the girls that he had working for them, his slaves, he rounded these girls all up from, like, lower class housing areas, trailer parks, so on and so forth there in Florida. Mm-hmm. And, he stalked them. He preyed on them. He used money and fancy houses and cars and whatnot as things to lure these girls into a life of hell.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's the lowest of all low, man. Even criminals don't like his kind,
Right, and we'll touch base on that too. That's one of the, with something like the Jeffrey Epstein trial that was going to come up, and with everything, all the dirt that he had on everyone. And I'm not talking about just the Clintons. I mean, everyone involved. I mean, even the prisoners in that federal holding jail, because it's not a prison, it's a jail. They probably wanted to put their hands around his neck, because anyone, a rapist or a pedophile is the lowest of the low in prison. And,
absolutely.
Usually they're killed. And this guy is a high profile case, probably the most noted name, high profile pedo case ever. I mean, and it kind of makes me go back to think, how much validity is Pizzagate now? They hurried up and they did damage control on that quip, swept that under the rug, and the only guy that came out and did a big news report was found dead. Go figure.
Imagine that.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, from what I understand, though, I mean, this even goes to like members of working people in the FBI and stuff who even like knew about this stuff. Like this is deep.
Right.
And then you get into the world of entertainers. Whether they be actors or singers, diplomats, worldly diplomats, royalty,
Prince Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, this is deep. This is a global thing, and it's so crazy because it opens up so many different doors. I mean, when you start looking at it as being global, at least in my mind, I start to think like stuff like Illuminati, man.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild.
I mean, yeah, it's wild. It's deep. It's crazy. It's disgusting, and all the things that you wish were never true or can't imagine ever happening. This stuff happens, people.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a shame that we had to come here tonight. And I know you had done a little information, or you dug up a little more information on the Florida cases. And you were telling me, it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that, he was gifted a multi-million-dollar mansion by a billionaire.
Yeah.
I wonder, who's going to gift you that? And then he has his own private island. And then the guy is a billionaire, and he had basically it would be like me and you trying to go sell drugs and get street cred on a corner that we've never been on. And people are gonna be like, okay, we're gonna buy from you. I mean, that's how it was. He was dealing with billionaires, trying to tell them how they were going to invest their money. Well, they became billionaires for a reason, and he wasn't a billionaire at the time. So
that was a front.
Yeah, he had to be pushing something else. And they say it was drugs and underage children, and that's disgusting.
Well, when you think about it, man, I've heard just insane stories of worldly diplomats paying like millions of dollars for like one night to have a bunch of these underage girls, and they have parties and do horrible things to these chicks. These chicks, they ruin their lives in one night, man. And these diplomats are paying like millions of dollars for this experience. It's sick, man. It's sick.
It is. Well, what we just
said,
like
a pimp by design. You know what I mean?
Right. What we just talked about. I hope that they continue to dig into this, and they do not. I know that there was a raid on one of his estates today by the FBI, and was that to destroy evidence, or was it to actually try and find some stuff? We don't know, but let's see what Mr. Barr had to say about this. I got a little video clip here. It's just under 2 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it up on the screen for us, and let's see what let's see what he has to say about all this that's going on. Here we go.
Before I begin, I'd like to briefly address news from the Manhattan Correctional Center over the weekend regarding Jeffrey Epstein. This sex trafficking case was very important to the Department of Justice and to me personally. It was important to the dedicated prosecutors in the Southern District of New York and to our FBI agents who investigated the case and were preparing it for trial. Most importantly, this case was important to the victims who had the courage to come forward and deserve the opportunity to confront the accused in the courtroom. I was appalled, and indeed the whole department was, and frankly, angry to learn of the MCC's failure to adequately secure this prisoner. We are now learning of serious irregularities at this facility that are deeply concerning and demand a thorough investigation. The FBI and the Office of Inspector General are doing just that. We will get to the bottom of what happened, and there will be accountability. But let me assure you that this case will continue on against anyone who was complicit with Epstein. Any co-conspirators should not rest easy. The victims deserve justice, and they will get it.
And with that said, Nick, what would you like to talk about first?
Well, I just want to go back to the beginning of this whole deal with Epstein because, I did the research and I wanted to see how this all started with this monster, and with his previous arrest, I'm just going to, if it doesn't spell conspiracy or stink or funk all over it, I don't know what does. I mean, look, there were 60 girls that came forward. And that's 60 counts of sexual assault, trafficking, all kinds of different things, right? This dude, this POS, gets an 18-month sentence.
Yeah. And I
and
think
only serves 13 months of that.
Right. Yeah, he only serves 13. And then I also was reading that it was basically like a vacation for him. Open door policy, he'd come and go. People were coming in and visiting him. He had his own private room for when women visited him. So it was just like, we're going to play a game here, give you a smack on the hand. And, I mean, really? Yeah, it's just, I don't get it. I mean, if this doesn't open the sheeple's eyes, then nothing will. Nothing will.
Exactly. It's insane, bro. And you know what? Kicked this whole thing off into this new investigation was, I think it was the Miami Herald newspaper.
Oh, yeah.
I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, they tracked down one of the victims to do like a follow-up story or something like this, right? And that led to the arrest of him at the current time because she had a story. She was putting it all out there. And a lot of it was things that they didn't know from the prior case, okay? So they started investigating this guy and obviously had enough to arrest him. But here's what's crazy. When they checked out the mansion that he had, and then he had the buildings he had on Epstein Island, he had tons of cameras in there. And in his safe, this freak, this is what I'm saying, this guy's a total predator, like somebody you see like on these crime shows, these cold case files and stuff. This cat had discs in his safe. There were video recordings, and he had them labeled with the girls' names on them. So you can go back and watch this crap later, dude, or use it for blackmail or whatever the case may be. Like, this guy was a true freak.
Yeah, man. He was.
And I wonder, was he the true freak, or were the people that were paying him the true freaks? Like, who was worse? I mean, not that it's not bad enough, but who was actually worse in all this,
There's an old saying, man, birds of a feather flock together. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And this guy, he's got a lot of history. Even back then, he had a lot of history with a lot of celebs, diplomats, musicians, big wigs of corporations.
I'm going to throw names out there. I mean, one of his frequent flyers on Lolita, which was his plane, which is disgusting in itself because he's named that plane after a black and white movie that was about a professor who was in love with an underage girl. So, I mean, just look at that. He named the plane Lolita. Kevin Spacey, that was one of his clients, scumbag.
I thought I heard the Weinstein name thrown in there one time in one of the things. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Man,
I doubt I'm wrong.
I wouldn't put it past him, brother. I mean, that's a world that you need to stay far away from. It's Gehenna on earth, man. It is.
It's a whole. In the world we live in the country we live in, there's a whole different world that exists that we don't see. When the sun goes down, the creeps come out. The
freaks come out at night, man. I mean, yeah, it's disgusting. Before we go any further, too, I'm just trying to get some of this media out there that's in the news for some of my friends, family, and fans that really maybe have not even been following this. But I wanted to let everybody know what Rudy Giuliani had to say about this. He was interviewed by Fox, and
Oh yeah.
he's talking about the actual facility itself, and you know, because they're saying that he committed suicide, but the only thing that he could have did was hung himself, right? Well, the sheets in there are made out of paper like you get when you go to the medical doctor or to the dentist. It's the paper you pull out. So that man had to
Right.
be one hell of a. He had to take weaving 101 in college for about 10 years to be able to weave him some paper into something that's going to hold a human body off the ground to hang themselves. So,
Well, that's what I was confused of. I know that the sheets in there are made of paper, but did he somehow get a regular sheet in there, or?
you know, they can say what they want. None of us know the truth, man. So
True.
I don't know, but let's hear what Rudy had to say about it, because I watched this earlier and I thought he really put some good input. So here we
Yeah,
go.
let's hear it.
Here we go with that.
Want to bring in Rudy Giuliani now. President Trump's attorney, spent years federal prosecutor in Manhattan before becoming the mayor of this great city. And nice to see you, and good morning.
How are you?
The Metropolitan Correctional Center, known as the MCC, Lower Manhattan, you know it well.
I saw it being built.
You saw it being built.
Yeah. Sure, it's connected to the U.S. Attorney's Office.
How would you explain it to viewers? How would you describe it?
Well,
what's happening on a Saturday night inside this jail?
So it's a jail rather than a prison. So people don't know the distinction between it. The jail is a place you hold people when they're awaiting trial. A prison is where you put them when they finally get sentenced. Those are more permanent places. Frankly, they're easier to handle, prisons. Jails are harder because they're very transient. Population in, out every day. However, there's absolutely no excuse for this. What happened here, to me, is mind-boggling. It's impossible to happen. It's a relatively small facility. This isn't Rikers Island, which is 15,000 people in virtually a city with many, many different buildings.
On its own island.
Yeah, one building. Almost everything is within view, if you want it to be, of the guards. This argument over whether he was on suicide watch or not is like silly, because if he wasn't on suicide watch, he should have been on watch. The guy was a high-risk prisoner, wasn't he? I mean, he's a guy that there are probably 50 very important people that have a motive to kill him. We don't even know who they are. I'm not alleging that any of the people named, it's true. But we know there are some people that are in a lot of trouble because of Epstein. They know who they are. So there's tremendous motive to kill him.
It's almost like an
Number two,
Agatha Christie
whether
novel
they want to
in
kill
that
him or
sense.
not, prisoners don't like him. Right? He's alleged to be maybe the most notorious child predator of our generation. Prisoners are strange. Perverts they don't like. So they'll kill a pervert just to kill a pervert. Second, he's a possible rat also. There's a lot of talk about him testifying. I believe you have to do that. That's good for the government. They believe you're a rat when you do it. So you got three strong reasons why this man may be done in. He might commit suicide. He apparently attempted it, or he was attacked. That threat still remained even after a week. And the third one is maybe a prisoner on his own is just going to take him out like they did with Whitey Bulger. I do not understand how anyone can explain not having him under 24-hour surveillance or not checking the camera constantly. So that leads to all the speculation that we all are upset about.
Is there a camera?
But we created the vacuum for that crazy speculation.
Is there a camera? I don't
Of
know.
course there's a camera. It wasn't working, they said. It wasn't working. The camera wasn't working. There's a camera in every part of a prison. Every single telephone call in and out of prison is listened to. Prisons are prisons. Now, the federal prison system, I used to be in charge of it in the Reagan administration, and then I worked with it for 15 years as an assistant U.S. attorney.
All right, there we go, folks. That was Rudy Giuliani, and I think he hit home on a lot of things. Like he was saying, this it's just there's so much surrounding this death, this slash suicide, possible murder, and there were several groups, several people. I mean, there's so many different ways that you could chop this down, in theory craft. I mean, and what I find amazing of all days, the camera's not working in his cell. What? They take him off suicide watch? What? I mean, you know what I'm
And you
saying,
know what's
Nikki?
crazy? I do, bro. You know what's crazy too is if that camera wasn't working, there was a technical issue. There would have to be a log, a report somewhere. There was a worker report in or something for the tech guys to come. Like they have a lot to prove, man.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be honest. Anybody that lives in the United States, anybody on the globe that has a brain, we know he didn't hang himself in there. And look, let's just say he did hang himself in there. The ball was dropped on many different angles to allow that to even happen. So,
Right.
conspiracy. No matter how you look at it, it comes down to that. Why? Because he's going to blow the whistle on a whole lot of important people in this world.
Right. Yeah, it's
And you know, I called this back when Trump got elected, and started talking about all the things he was going to do as far as going after criminals, both political and within government and so on and so forth for different reasons. But I said it then, and I stand by it now. People will start rolling over on each other to save their own ass.
absolutely. And you know what? I read a funny meme today. I forget who sent it to me, but it went along the lines of individuals that are tied to the Clintons and have dirt on them have a 616% chance of more likely of committing suicide.
Oh yeah, it's funny that you bring that up, dude. Because when I started seeing a lot of different stuff about this dude's dead. Who's the first name that comes up in the media all over everywhere, all over the internet? The Clintons' name comes up. So, I know there's been a lot going on with them, but they say that there's I want to say 46 deaths associated with the Clintons.
Mm.
And I believe that's the number. And actually, yeah, that is the number. And do you know 11 of them were bodyguards of the Clintons?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And we're talking about colonels, sergeants, majors, captains. Majority of these guys that were security for them, special ops. These are all military guys that have all come up dead. Now, do I think that's an accurate number? No. And I don't have the exact number in front of me, but that doesn't count or include into the count the number of people that have gone missing who are associated with the Clintons.
Right.
That's just the ones. That's just the deaths that have been around them.
Well, you
we
know
live
what?
a lawless world.
Well, what's funny about that is Bill Clinton, of all people. I mean, people, especially the younger generation, they don't even know because they weren't. I mean, they were probably babies or younger. The millennials were not even around. But the whole Monica Lewinsky thing, Monica was only 22 years old when that went down, and
Yeah.
They actually filed to impeach him back then on that, and
Yep.
with
How
that
quick we
said,
forget.
I know how quick we do forget, but then they're supporting his wife, and they stayed together. That's a marriage of convenience, because I guarantee you they don't sleep in the same beds yet, let alone the same homes.
Oh, you know what, bro? If you do some digging on the internet, you'll find, there's guys that say that, video confessions that they were Hillary's boy toy, or Hillary's known to sleep with women too, they say. And even look at Bill, he's having babies, kids coming out all the woodwork, the kids that are in their 20s, here's what the only thing I got to say to these millennials, or even these Antifa freaks that don't want to do research, gain knowledge, and have more factual knowledge of everything that's going on. Do research. Read the Clinton Chronicles, for God's sake. Read that book. There's tons of video of it. Start digging. You think these people are actors. These politicians are actors. They go on TV and they put on a good show, and that's it, man.
Yep.
They live their lives completely opposite and start reading things and start getting educated. And I'll tell you, education is free.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Bill Clinton, he's admitted, oh, I've been on the Lolita plane 4 times. But they were all for me to go. Like one of them, I went to Africa to help with, some foundation. And if it had something to do with the Clinton Foundation, I don't know. But the pilot's records show otherwise. They have them like over 26 different times on that plane. And sometimes, going out to that island. And also his name was in Jeffrey's little black book with contact and numbers on 26 different, I guess, contacts for him as far as like, I guess, code names or things of that sort. So, all this is just, it's in your face. It's out there if you do the research. And I know a lot of people that do try and stay away from it because they don't want to get, put on the hit list and things like that. But it's so in our face now. And while we're on Clinton real quick, God bless this patriot. He went to the Clintons were paid to go talk to a group in New York City, and there was a heckler out in the crowd. And it's 59 seconds long. You got to see it. At first, he's getting booed a little, but then when he brings up a couple of facts, the guy is getting cheered on by the crowd as the Clintons are trying to tell him, the guards, to get him out of there. So with that said,
Right.
Let's go ahead and check that out real quick. It's 59 seconds.
Heck yeah.
Here we go.
And Bill, this is boring. Why don't you talk about Jeffrey Epstein? I want to know about you and Jeffrey Epstein. Talk about you.
It's important that when we talk about politics,
Jeffrey Epstein flying on the Lolita Express. What's that? No, Bill. Bill, this is boring. Why don't you talk about Jeffrey Epstein? I want to know about you and Jeffrey Epstein. Talk about you.
It's important that when we talk about politics,
Jeffrey Epstein flying on the Lolita Express. What's that? No, Bill.
And there you go, folks. We need more guys like that, man. He was letting them Webos hang, wasn't he? And he was getting cheered on there at the end. So that's awesome.
Exactly.
My hat's
Exactly.
off. My hat's off to that gentleman. Well, with that said, guys, we didn't want to make this a big, long production tonight. We just want to touch some bases. I know Nikki B got fired up. I got fired up in the beginning. Go out there, find your own truths on this. This is the real McCoy. It's happening right in front of our face. It's unfolding.
Feed your head.
Yeah, feed your head, man. Feed that cranium. You know what I found funny too is, the Clintons started trending on Twitter with the murdering Jeff. And so all of a sudden they put a Trump out there that Trump had a hit out on him. So that started trending a little bit, So it's funny how like the left, whenever anything's going bad their way, they got to use their whole Trump shield, and they got to just blame it on Trump. We'll go into the weekend, just find something big on Trump, and it's just funny, man.
I've kind of just been telling myself this, and it's funny, but it's true. The left is so far out there now,
Yeah.
And in my opinion, I don't even want to hear what the left has to say. Before I used to listen because, I got to understand it. I got to try to understand where they're coming from. That used to be my mentality. But now it's just so convoluted, so ridiculous, and the lengths that they go to do the things that they do is so ridiculous. In my opinion right now, if you're not right wing, you're just wrong. There's no left wing. You're right or you're wrong. You know what I mean? Like, it's disgusting, and it's come to that. Like, I don't know. I'm
Yeah, I
beside
mean,
myself with them.
I know you are. I'm you know, I support our POTUS, and whoever our POTUS is, I will get my respect. It's a tough job, even though they're all puppets to a degree. Um, I'm not right or left. I love my country, but nowadays, loving my country, they call me a patriot, and a patriot's a racist. So, go figure. Now I'm a racist because I love my country, and I put my country first. You know, um, government has gotten too big, man. That's the problem, and they're slowly trying to convert us into a socialist republic. And take heed, folks, because when they start putting stipulations like China does on its civilians, it's going to make your head spin. And they're already conditioning everyone for it. The millennials, the younger generation, I mean, they're so gullible, and their hate for Trump is so huge. When this man was loved and adored by the same people that hated him when he had his own TV show. Or, you know what I found really funny is him and Snoop used to hang out and do funny things. And then now Snoop's all against Trump. And, you know, everyone that loved that man now hates him. Why? Because he's just trying to make America great again. And you know, I hate saying it like that, but he's done things negative and he's done things positive. But he's not a racist. And you know what? Maybe he was a womanizer. Show me a billionaire that wasn't. You know, that's why.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. Well, you brought up Snoop, and you're right. You know, I always see Snoop dogging Trump. Dogging Trump.
Right. Yeah. I don't.
When the heck did Snoop's opinion become relevant?
Yeah, I know. Well, not only him, it's just everyone and their mama too. I mean, look, dude.
Well, no, you're absolutely right. But I'm just saying, you brought up Snoop, and you're right, because every time I turn around, Snoop's on TV or on YouTube or something saying something negative about the president like that, and I just don't get it. His opinion isn't relevant. He's a rapper.
Right, well, you know, I could take it back several years ago when Trump first got in office, when Kathy Griffith, the comedian chick with the red hair, held up the severed head of Trump. You know, and I'm gonna tell you a little story. Had that been anyone else, any other president, she would have got a knock on her door, and she wouldn't have a career anymore. Not that she ever really had one, and I hope her career does tank the rest of her life, because that was disgusting, and it's a show of disrespect. And it all revolves back around. I mean, look, we have freedom of speech. We have we have the Constitution that we need to fall back on. They're always wanting to try and say, oh, well, it was read this way, but no, it was meant. We have these rights to stand so we can stand up against a government that got too big. That's why these were put in place. And when people fail to stop recognizing that, then that's when we're in trouble. And that's where we're at now. And I'm going to show you how shallow and uneducated the youth are. Now, I don't remember if it was Louder with Crowder, but one of those guys were out on the streets, and they were saying, they were doing interviews, and they were joke interviews on people, and they were like, oh man, did you guys hear about Trump's son? Yeah, he's over there killing big game in Africa. He's murdering the endangered species of the triceratops. How do you feel about that? And then people will be like, oh my gosh, he's killing triceratops over in Africa in big game hunting? I'm so against it. You know,
I saw that. You're right.
You know, and then it's like, hello, people. We're talking about a fossilized prehistoric animal, and your hate for a man you don't even know is so deep. You're not paying attention. I mean, you're looking more stupid than you really are on camera. But you know, it's just the way it is. Up is down, right is wrong, and they're just shoveling it down our throats until we, you know, either throw up or decide to grab a pitchfork and, you know, make a stand. I don't know what it is. And it's like they're trying to divide us on purpose, and it's sad.
Well,
So,
of course, you and I, we could do a whole every day of the week show on that alone. We're so deep into that, but you're absolutely right. They are trying to divide us, and it was actually being done successfully, I believe, in the first year and a half to 2 years that Trump was in office. But then I'm so happy that now I can say, like, I've actually noticed people coming together, all races, all religions, all different economic structures.
right.
They're seeing the BS for what it is, and I'm so proud that people are seeing that, because that's what it takes. It takes for everybody to see the BS for it to stop. You know what I mean?
Hey, before we go tonight, I just wanted to play this clip. It's the last clip I want to play tonight. I think it was done by Inside Edition, but it has Trump talking about his despise for Epstein, and it also mentions a few other things that I think are relevant that people might want to know. And it also had a girl on there that actually was one of the stewardess that was hired by Epstein when she was younger, to not only be a stewardess, make sandwiches and do massages on the plane, Lord knows what else. She says nothing, but she actually went on multiple rides while Clinton was on there, and she name dropped several other people. But it's about a little 2-minute clip, and I want to go ahead and play that for you and the folks real quick.
Is that the same chick that said like she had to do like recruiting or something like that for him?
I believe so, and if not, then I'm not sure, but
Right.
it is.
Okay.
I'm gonna play it right here. Here we go.
President Trump is speaking out about Jeffrey Epstein, the billionaire accused of sex trafficking.
He was a fixture in Palm Beach. I had a falling out with him a long time ago. I don't think I've spoken to him for 15 years.
Epstein was actually banned from Mar-a-Lago, according to court documents obtained by Inside Edition, after Epstein was accused of sexually assaulting an underage girl at the club.
I was not a fan of his, that I can tell you. I was not a fan of his.
And this is your first look inside Epstein's opulent $77 million mansion in Manhattan. It was featured on the cover of Architectural Digest in 1995. The mansion has a heated sidewalk so snow and ice melts during the winter. Epstein's monogram, J.E., appears right here in brass on the doorway, and inside, beneath the stairs, there's a lead-lined panic room, like something out of a James Bond movie. The FBI raid on the mansion uncovered sex toys, a life-size female doll hanging from a chandelier, and hundreds of lewd photos. Bill Cosby, who is now serving 3 to 10 years in prison for sexual assault, used to live in a townhouse directly opposite the mansion. These are pages from Epstein's Little Black Book. They were first obtained by the website Gawker. They show numerous entries for the rich and famous: Donald Trump, actor Alec Baldwin, and singer Courtney Love. Page after page are headlined Massage Paris, Massage UK, Massage Florida. Below the cities, a list of first names with contact numbers. There are 21 email addresses and contact numbers in the book for former President Bill Clinton, and he's speaking out today. President Clinton knows nothing about the terrible crimes Jeffrey Epstein is charged with in New York, a statement says. In the statement, Clinton acknowledges he flew 4 times on Epstein's private jet in 2002 and 2003. Shantae Davis was a flight attendant on the jet known as the Lolita Express because it allegedly shuttled underage girls between Epstein's homes. She told Inside Edition Clinton did nothing improper on those trips. She says she made him peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and Clinton took her shopping in Africa.
Man. So there you go, folks. That was a little more food for your brain, food for your head. Let's just pray that they continue to investigate this, to give these girls some justice, the ones that spoke out, the ones that we don't know about. And, let's hope that something comes to light of this. And we need to stand together and realize when we're being bamboozled. And, you've got to find your own truth. You got to research. we only live once, and I know you can go through life with your head down and follow the herd and think it's all hunky-dory, but one day you're going to look up and you're going to find yourself corralled into a little fence that you can't get out of, and they're feeding you when they want to feed you. They're letting you out when they want to let you out, and your life is totally controlled. So we got to step up, guys. Nick, you have any closing thoughts?
I think you pretty much covered it. Let's hope the next time we talk about these slime balls that we're talking about them all going to jail.
Yeah. I mean, let's just pray that Barr and all these guys and the ones that are holding the investigations find more than what they did. I mean, I heard that the warden of that jail, I guess he's been transferred now, and the 2 guards that were on duty were actually suspended until pending an investigation. You know, that's not good enough. And let's don't use them as scapegoats, because, you know, working overtime, we all do it. You still do your job and you do it properly. You know, there's just too many. Wow, there's so many things wrong with this. I mean, you couldn't write something this crazy. I mean, you couldn't imagine or draw something.
No.
Camera's not working. Oh, he didn't get paper sheets. He was left alone. He was taken off suicide watch. Guards are working overtime. There was not a guard outside, you know, keeping an eye on him. I mean, it's just like strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, strike 4, strike 5. I mean, it's just like, you know, it's just, it makes you want to scream, man. And hopefully some justice is found, and hopefully there's something that we can do about it. And for these women and for these girls that were sexually abused, and that's what's on my heart. And you know what? In the end, truth reveals itself always in the end. So you can run and you can hide, but eventually the truth is going to pop up and be like, gotcha. So guys, with that said, as always, God bless, stay safe, and have a great night. And I hope that we were able to feed your mind tonight. And tune in. We got a good one coming up with our weather manipulation part 2 this weekend.
Heck yeah.